Here we go. Another church pastor says that he's not going to help single mother whores. Forget about Mary Magdalene and all of the people who Jesus saved that were not deemed appropriate for society based on what the evangelicals are saying now. They're not even following Jesus at this point. They're following a book that they've completely changed, and they don't know the man they claim to worship. This is Pastor Steven Anderson out of Faithful Word Baptist Church in Phoenix, Arizona. And this is not the first or fifth time he's been in hot water over things he said. And the problem is he doubles down on it. The pastor said this in a Twitter post in early November, saying, "I would be pissed if I donated to a church and found out they were giving the Lord's money to single mother whores. I would want it to go to the Lord's work or towards helping godly Christians who are in need. Churches should not be funding fornicators and their bastards." By the way, if you're new here, my name is Sarah Holcomb, and this is Mad Hatter News. So subscribe for more videos like this, and also like this video if you like it. I'm an ex-DC reporter, and I got out of it because of how corrupt the media is. And now I am a Chicago-based stand-up comedian, and I post videos like this about these MFers. Okay. Steven is the pastor of Faithful Word Baptist Church out of Arizona. They don't have great Google reviews. It looks like 3.8 stars. And I was wondering if it was because of his most recent post on Twitter, but it actually isn't. He's been doing this a really long time and making a lot of people mad. One review says that as a believer, I'm appalled by some of the philosophies coming out of here. Actively promoting that you don't need consent during relations is giving us all a bad name. That means the pastor preached that you don't need consent before you have sexual relations with people, which is our wording. We all know that, right? That's called, okay. The pastor's saying that you can people. And the pastor actually responded to this Google review saying, "You get consent from your wife during relations? Sounds weird. My wife consented when she said, 'I do.'" So here's the pastor and his family and all of his precious children who are being taught that every single thing that he's saying in his church to his congregation is okay. So these are a bunch of little girls and little boys who are going to have a really tough time in society if they continue with this type of mentality. Because our wording is our wording. And that poor wife, I don't know. I guess she's just as complicit, but also not. It's the fact that he keeps responding to these Google reviews just in a mean-spirited way for me. This is someone talking about refusing intimacy again and his take on that you can R-word your partner or anyone basically. And he says, "The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife." And quotes that from 1 Corinthians 7:4. What he's not realizing, this biblical scholar, is that this literally means you must consent. This says that the wife has power of her husband's body as well, which means she has the power to say no. But he doesn't understand what this means. Yet he's a biblical scholar who's preaching to congregations and twisting the word of the Bible to mean that you can R-word people. Let that sink in. These Google reviews keep going. Apparently his congregation will evangelize and go to different homes in different neighborhoods around the church and scream at people to join the church, scream Bible verses at people, and they've even had the cops called on them. This review literally says 3 different people knocked on their door and they asked them to stop coming, and they knocked 7 times from 3 different groups of people. That's crazy. That's harassment. Someone else from the neighborhood called the cops and they said that they're making the church look awful. But instead of apologizing for his congregation's behavior, the pastor responded. He says, "I'm just glad to hear so many people from our church are knocking on doors. We're great at evangelizing." Bro, you're scaring people. And this review really hit the nail on the head for me. And I think we need to focus on it because what a lot of these churches are doing as far as talking about politics in service is actually illegal. As soon as you start getting political in a congregation, that means that you're no longer a church who doesn't need to pay taxes. You're more of a political group. And that means you have to pay taxes. Churches are supposed to stay out of all election-based or political-based conversation. That is the law. This review said that the service felt less like a service and more like being at a meeting for fundamentalist special interest political groups. She cautions friends to avoid congregations that are politically charged on either end of the pendulum. We really need to talk about this because you shouldn't be telling people, oh, just avoid congregations who are politically charged. You're not supposed to do that at all. Churches do not have to pay taxes. They don't have to pay taxes. If they did have to pay taxes, that would mean that they're not a religious group. It's now a political group. And political groups have to pay taxes. What is actually happening is a lot of these evangelist churches are now showing their true colors, that they support the Heritage Foundation, which has been trying to change this country into Handmaid's Tale, into a country where women have less rights, where the church just completely takes over law, and the churches are actively turning their members into this cult mentality to where they're allowing the works of completely opposed to Jesus. This is very anti-Christ right here. Single mother whore. Jesus would never say something like that. In fact, Mary Magdalene was someone that he helped and spoke highly of. Now, Mary Magdalene was never explicitly said to be a prostitute in the Bible, but they did call her a sinful woman. In fact, it said in the Bible that Jesus cast out 7 demons from Mary Magdalene's body. Even though it never explicitly says that she was a prostitute, it still explicitly says that she had demons inside of her that were cast out by Jesus Christ, and that she was a sinful woman. So you can only imagine what kinds of things were going on. Like, how much more sinful was she than everybody else that this had to happen? Like, obviously something was happening there. Still, she's a saint. The demons were cast out. She is a redeemed woman. And that Bible teaches that you can be redeemed. That's what the crucifixion was all about. But this pastor, who doesn't have to pay taxes, is saying that women who are unwed and need help from the church are whores, and that they have bastard children. He's grouping all of these people together, and he's just saying that they don't deserve help from the church. This is so anti-Christ. This review even says that the church doesn't even seem to be welcoming of people with disabilities. There's no accessible ramps to get into places that have stairs, like in the front, where most churches have ramps in the front. Most government buildings have ramps in the front. And there's no real effort to make the space welcoming. Obviously, there is anti-LGBTQ stuff here. I mean, we didn't even have to bet on that. We could tell at this point. They said specifically the message is less about Christ's love and more about drawing the lines in the sand to keep people out. And this review just plainly calls the pastor out for being anti-Christ, saying that Jesus frequently critiqued religious leaders, specifically the Pharisees and scribes, for the hypocrisy, legalism, and the focus on outward appearances over genuine faith. Jesus accused them of neglecting the weightier matters of the law, such as justice, mercy, and faithfulness, which is exactly the type of pastor or leader that Jesus would critique or criticize, would be people like Pastor Stephen, who's very anti-Christ. I've said it once and I'll say it again. We need to tax the churches. A lot of these pastors are leading their congregation astray from the word of God. And listen, I'm not saying that I'm Christian. I'm not fighting for any one religion. I'm saying that this is illegal. This is not something that should happen. And this pastor is dangerous and speaking the words of an anti-Christ leader. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe, follow for more of the news of this nature. I usually do horizontal videos, which takes a lot longer, but I think I'll do a lot more vertical ones because I know that's more phone friendly. So I guess I'll try doing that a little bit more, I guess, hopefully. Fingers crossed. YouTube is so hard to even get in the algorithm, much less keep posting frequently when you post on a whole lot of different platforms, but whatever. Like and subscribe if you want more, because I'll be here. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye guys.